Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Dr. Zaman. Welcome to this video, guys. Right, so far, what's been happening so far? So now we've understood about past verbs now. So the verb forms, there's really these 9 that you're going to focus on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10, right? So there's 9. This one, and this one, we're not really going to focus on them at the moment because these are not really common ones that you find in the text. I want to kind of get people in understanding how the verbs work, the common verbs, right? These can be done at another stage. At the moment, we're focusing on these. So far, past few lessons, we have actually been focusing on this particular one, the fa'ala form. When we say the fa'ala form, what we really mean by the fa'ala form is, let me just bring one out to you guys so you guys can see. Is the past form, right, that works like this. So over here, if you look over here, you have, this was last week's, if you remember what we did last week. It's this one. So over here, you have fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'ala. It's either going to have a fatha on the ayn kalima, or a kasra, or a dhamma. Right, that's the 3 that you're going to get. And we came out with 6 possible combinations of these with the present verbs that exist in the Arabic language. Okay, so these are the ones. And then you have over here, right, an example, like for instance, like nasara, and you got nasara, nasaru, this waw has been added, and the fourth one, ta sukun has been added, and nasarata, nasarna, nasarta, nasartuma, nasart, all the way down. So this kind of gives, this is the thing that you should be memorizing. You should memorize this so that you know they're all going to fit this pattern. It's just a matter of changing this ain over here with a fatha, with a kasra, with a dhamma, right? So now, that's something which is separate. That requires you guys to memorize it. I don't want to focus too much on this. What I want to focus on is changes that occur. So, if you remember last week when we did examples from the Quran, I showed you some examples and I said to you, look, for instance, ja'a, right? Originally it was jaya'a, right? Jaya'a. But it actually has changed and it's become ja'a. Notice the middle letter, right? Over here as well, dalla is actually dalala. But the middle letter, has been joined with the last one. So it's become dalla. Kana was originally kawana. And then it became kana. The waw has been converted to an alif. Qultu was originally qawalta. Qulta radi. Qawalta. And the lam, the waw has actually been omitted. And you're left with qult, and there's a dhamma that's been put on the qaf. Right, so these changes are what I want to focus on in these lessons, right? So I want to focus on how changes occur so that you can see that what is the original shape of it, and then what's the later changed shape of the word, and the format of the word. So if I take a piece of paper, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write for you guys. I'm going to write down, right? So if you remember, I drew this and I said to you the past verbs, what you need to remember about them is all past verbs that come on the first pattern, the fa'ala pattern, they are either going to contain a harf illa, which is waw, alif, ya. So there's either going to be a waw, alif, ya in one of the 3 letters, or more than one, or there's not going to be any waw, alif, ya. And then you call this a sahih. And then you have different, either they can be totally different letters like nasara, or some can be the same, like madada into madda. Now there are a few others like mahmuz and others, which I'll list as well later. But at the moment, all I want to focus on is trying to see how we're going to construct change or understand changes in these verbs. A lot of students, what tends to happen is they get confused very quickly, right? They get confused, and then, once they get confused and they hate Sarf, right? Put in the comments if you have ever hated Sarf, right? Me, I'm one of those guys. I used to hate Sarf. Then I started to like it. Okay, so let's try to... So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with... If I show you this, actually, I think, I've done this, haven't I, before? Right, and I showed you that the fa, ayn, lam, if we start off with the huruf illa, when I said to you this huruf illa one, right? So either the fa can be a waw, or the fa can be an alif, or the ya can be an alif, or the ayn can be a waw, or the ayn can be an alif, or the ayn can be a ya, or the lam can be a waw, and the lam can be a alif, or the lam can be a ya. These are various possibilities, okay, of this. We're not going to go through all the possibilities because that's not really practical for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through one of them, right? So what we'll do is we'll start off with something like this then. So for instance, if I draw at the bottom of this, like for example, if this fa becomes a wow, you might have something like this. You might have something like wa, right? Wa, and then ja, and then da. Notice the wow here. Yeah, this is an example of wow, right? Wa, ja, da. Okay, if you have fa'ala and you have the middle one, you have, let's say, a wow in the middle one, you might have something like this. Qa, wa, la. Qa, wa, la. Notice the middle one is a wow. Or for example, like you might have the last one. So for example, like da, a, wa, right? So the last one over here has a wow. So these are not the original forms, okay? The original forms, so wajada is the original form, right? So no need to change that. Qawala originally is qawala, but it actually is transformed into qala, okay? Qala. And da'awa, that's the original, but it's actually written as da'a. So notice what's happened is the lam over here and the alif over here are the new letters that have substituted. So because wajada doesn't really have any change in there, we don't have to deal with this. We are going to move on to qala now. Okay, so now if I list, for example, like if I make a whole list, just like I made a list over here of nasara, right? It's going to take me a bit of time. I'll make a list of nasara like this, but I'll do it with qala. Okay, so I'll do a qala list and I'll do it like this, right? So I'm going to do it. You guys can have a go at this as well. So for example, like qa, wa, la, right? So that's the first one. And then you have qa, wa, it's the second one. I'll add the extra letters at the end as well, so in different color. Qa, wa, la. Those are the first three. Okay, like this, the first three. And then, you know, these extra added letters at the end can be added. And then you got three more. Qa, wa, la. You got qa, wa, la, qa, wa, la. So 6 there. And let's do 6 more. Qa, wa, la, qa, wa, la, qa, wa, la, qa, wa, la, qa, wa, la. That's 3, 6, 9, qa, wa, la. And then 2 more. Qa, wa, la, and qa, wa, la. Okay, that's basically the structure of this. Okay, now these sort of like last additions are not really going to affect this word. Okay, they're not really gonna have much of an effect. I'll add them in, okay, so that you guys can see. So, you know, it's always good to kind of be aware of all the details as you're learning a subject. So this one is going to be with nothing at the end. This one, so let me just open these two as well. So you got green, qawala, and then you got blue, qawalu, like blue, and then you got ta with a sukun, and then you got ta, and you got a noon over here. I always have to get ink over my fingers. Okay, so you got over there. Put a line there, make it look a bit nice and orderly. You got ta. Then you got a tuma. I don't know, do you guys follow this? Do you guys draw with me as well as I'm doing it, or is it just something you enjoy watching me do this? And tum, and then you got ti, and then you got tuma. Make sure it's coming out all right. Tuma, and then tunna. Now if you've done 17 lessons with me, I've got a slightly different way that I do this. 17 lessons Quranic Arabic. I've got a different way, and ideally I'd recommend for someone who wants to study Arabic, first of all start with that, and then to actually move on to this. All right, so this is basically the order. This is how it's supposed to be, okay? But this is not how the Arabs say it. The Arabs make changes, right? So how do the Arabs make changes? Let's have a look at this change that occurs now. So the change that occurs in this is as follows. Every waw, we're going to change it into an alif. Okay, so every single waw, let's change every single waw into an alif. So we're going to remove this. Right, so just do that and put an alif there. Qala. Right. So all these vowels, remove them. This feels nice and relaxing, just doing some coloring. Right, so you're basically replacing the vowels with the alif so that your mind starts to pick this up as you go along. Ideally, like I said, you need to memorize. Right, so qala, qala, qalu, qalat, qalata, qalna, qalta, qaltuma. Right. So let's now add these vowels on here, right? So these all should be the same. They should be qa, la, qa, la, qa, and this one, remember, right? It's supposed to be lu, blue, right? And then you got qalat, qal, and then lata, and then these over here, all of these are sukun. Sukun, 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 and sukun. Right? And then this supposed to be qala, qala, qalu. Hold it down. Try to fit it in. Alright, that's how it's supposed to be. So one change we've made is we've removed the waw and replaced it with alif. A second change that we're going to make now, you're going to see this. So see, qala, qala, qalu, qalat. Alright, qalata. Now see over here, you got a problem over here. You got alif and a sukun. Alright, so this is one change. Change number one. And the second change we have to make is over here. So the problem over here is we can't have change there. We can't have two letters that have no vowels on the alif has no vowel, lam has no vowel. We call this the ijtima of sakinain, the combination of two sukuns, right? So if I write this down, so the rule over here is that the middle waw has to be transformed into an alif. Okay, middle waw has to be transferred to alif all the time, past verbs. And over here is the two sukuns next to each other. The two sukun rule, and this one is the middle waw rule. So when you have a middle waw, the middle letter is a waw, you must transform it into an alif. And over here as well. If the middle, if there's two sukuns, then you have to get rid of one of them. That's the thing that I'm going to explain to you now. You got to get rid of that one. So which one is stronger? Is a lam stronger and alif stronger? Alif are always the weakest, remember that. Alif are always the weakest. So in all of these, notice you got sukun, sukun. Yeah? You got a sukun, 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 sukun. I bet you can't say like me. So now we're going to get rid of this alif. Alif, go. Now when we get rid of this alif, what we're going to do is the letter before it, to signify that we removed an alif, we're going to transform that letter into a dhamma. So let's just put this down over here. So number one is remove alif. And number two is we're going to give dhamma to previous letter. Okay. So let's do that then. So over here, so all of these now we're going to get rid of this. Dhamma. Dhamma. Qulna over here. إِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. Originally was قَوَلْنَا. Originally was قَوَلْنَا, and then the change takes place where it becomes قُلْنَا. قُلْنَا اهْبِطُوا. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ قُلْتُمْ قَالَ قُلْتُمْ. Right, so قَوَلْتُمْ. And then the alif is dropped. The waw turns into alif. Alif is dropped, and you قُلْتُمْ. Alright, so you can have a go at this, and like I said, you can try it with kana. See if you guys can do this with kana. Inshallah, hopefully you shouldn't really have an issue with this. So this is the rule that we're going to learn. Try to understand it. If you have any question, I think put it in the comments, and maybe I might do another recap of this in the next session. Jazakumullah khair, guys. Take care. If you haven't checked out my other videos, check out my other videos. I do videos nearly every single day. And also subscribe, share, and if you like this video, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair for watching this video. I hope to see all of you guys. If you guys are interested, please leave us feedback, get in contact with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair, guys, for all of your support. Without your support, I wouldn't have been able to produce the videos that I've put up on my YouTube channel. And there is so much more that I really want to do. And without the support of you guys who are patrons, generously supporting this channel, I've been able to get myself a camera, which, as you guys can see, the quality of this camera, mic system, software. I've been able to hire an editor. So what do I want to do? I want to make lots and lots and lots of more videos for beginners, for intermediate, advanced, in the subjects like Arabic and fiqh and hadith and tafsir and aqidah and all those other things as well. And for this to happen, again, this channel needs support. So if you guys want to become patrons and support this channel, then check out the link below. Also, if you do become patrons, you'll have access to videos that I don't put up on my normal YouTube channel. So check that out, inshallah. And there's most other perks as well that you guys can benefit from. And if you want to access this channel through social media, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, Facebook page, and other things as well that you can visit. So Jazakumullah khair again, guys. Thank you very much for your support. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.